We got a treat for y'all on today. We on set. We're a little early today, y'all, but listen. Welcome to Real Talk with Shenita and Her Story, His Story with your girl.
Catrice.
We are in the building today, y'all, and we got some players in the building. I call them players, y'all, but they players for the kingdom, okay? Listen, y'all, we have here on today none other than my brother whom I just met, heard a lot about, but whom I just met. We have my brother Leo in the building, all the way from Fredericksburg, Virginia, in the building. Listen, y'all, we have none other than my apostle, great mighty woman of God, Apostle Veranda Cobb, in the building with us on today. Yes, y'all. And y'all already know it's my twin. It's the Danny to my what am I? Arnold. Listen, it's the Danny to my Arnold. Y'all already know it's your girl Katrice in the building. Listen, y'all already know how it goes down in the den. Y'all already know how it goes down at Lives Media Group Studio. And we would not be here today without my brother. I'm always going to give shouts out where shouts are due. Listen, my brother Fonte Lives is in the building. He make it possible for us to come and do these shows Sunday after Sunday, Monday after Monday. Gotta shout out my boy, Sonny Biggs. I know you somewhere watching, my brother. Gotta shout him out, y'all. So listen, a little plug for him real quick. Tune in tomorrow so y'all can watch it. So with my girl,
I'll be on tomorrow.
my girl Katrice Presents gonna be on tomorrow, y'all. So listen, I might just sneak in and sit on the couch tomorrow, y'all. But listen, today, y'all, I have the great pleasure of interviewing y'all, not only my apostle, but I have the great pleasure to interview Mr. Leo.
I appreciate it. Honored to be here.
Listen, I'm gonna jump right in because that's what we do. And I flow, y'all. So we flow and we kind of move and we flow. Wait, they watching us, but we talk. We came, we talking, and today we're talking about from then to now. We're talking about from where you came from to where you are now. And if I could share a little bit, I recall yesterday, Apostle Veranda Cobb's, God gave her a mission and a plan and a vision with the Resilience Conference. And woman of God, I want to truly say thank you for the conference on yesterday. Thank you for the reset on yesterday. Thank you for the refresh, the refocus. Everything was a re on yesterday. Some of it was a fresh start for some people, but for me, it was a refocus, a reshift, and a reset. And I thank you for that because when that conference, it brought Mr. Leo.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
And in bringing you in, you stated some things that was, we hit like you my guy twin, man.
Literally.
Literally. You know when everybody say there's a twin somewhere, you got a twin. So when I hearing your story,
Yes.
And I'm gonna let you share on that. But hearing your story, you gave us. Listen, y'all. He a storyteller, right? So first he gotta paint a picture, right?
Yeah.
And you painted the picture of your life, and then you drove in the nuggets. You painted the picture of where you came from, and then you drove in the nuggets of how you're walking in this thing. Yeah. And so when I look at you, y'all, Sonny Biggs, he got his brand on, baby. He got his brand on. I had to put my brand on today, right? Because my boy Sonny Biggs and hopefully, and so what we do collaboration, and hopefully you I feel like you in the family, so y'all gonna be back here more. Y'all gonna be back here more. But I feel like your brand, what you have, that's a segment by itself.
Yeah.
So when Sonny Biggs talk about Saint Cobb, his brand, and how he wears his brand, and I had to look, okay, my boy always got his brand on. I saw you yesterday, brand on. I looked in the back, I was like, dang, you mean to tell me I could put my phone to his shirt?
Yeah, scan the QR code.
Scan the
Right off the shirt.
Scan the QR code right off the shirt.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. And people do it all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
They do it all the time just to see if it's going to work. So I always got to make sure that the QR code work before I leave the house.
He got to check the QR
Got to
code
check the QR code, make sure it works.
before you leave the
Take
house.
it right to the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I heard your story on yesterday, and I heard the 1 year, because I'm going to dive in that, and then we're going to reel it on in.
Yeah.
You stated some things about facing something. And it was a time at adversity that in his way, you allowed God in. But you had to go through that storm. And then riding through that storm, God taught you some stuff. And so when we look back at who Leo really is, who Mr. Montana really is, it's not the now, but it's coming from where you were.
Yeah.
So what Katrice, for me yesterday, he said one thing, one date, because y'all know me, I'm about dates, Apostle. It was the 2009.
Yes. Yes.
The 2009 for me, because when I look back at it, you shared us with what happened in 2009. And I know it was things leading up to 2009, but 2009 changed your life.
It did. That was the transformation mark right there. Yeah. I had made decisions, right, prior to 2009. And with every decision that you make, there's a series of choices that come behind that, right? And those are the hard parts, right? Because when you decide something, like, it's a declaration. It's not like up for negotiation, none of that. Like, you decided, you know, if I decide to wear this shirt today, it's no question. I'm putting it on and that's it. Right. So I decided to be different when I came home from prison. And man, did a series of choices come. You know, everything from people that I used to hang around that were toxic to my own toxic behavior, and having to actually look at that and deal with that. And, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to come home and everything going to be easy. I'm going to just stay out the way. Man, what? God was like, nope. Okay, you set a boundary. Well, here come the test. Boom, 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 boom. So, yeah, it was the series of tests, though, that allowed me to really develop into who God had created me to be. Yes. Because before that, I didn't really know, you know. So.
That's deep.
Ooh, yeah. Toxic. And I'm going to give y'all a little bit of the bio. Mr. Montana Leo Hairston. I got to make sure I say these names right. He's the CEO of Leo Damone Incorporated. Is a dynamic leader, mentor, and advocate for community empowerment. And can I add, speaker?
Yeah.
From earning his pastoral license in 2010, which he do not lead with.
No,
come on.
I'm a pastor.
Not
come on.
Not at all.
Somebody. It says, to rising from entry-level roles to boardrooms, Leo's journey reflects resilience and an unwavering commitment to helping others. As an entrepreneur and host of The Risk Factor on Fox 5, I want to talk about what that risk factor is. Plus, he empowers individuals and organizations with tools for risk mitigation. Yeah. Help me out, brother. Personal safety and purpose-driven decision making. Y'all hear that key word. Purpose-driven decision making. Dedicated to uplifting youth and underserved communities, Leo's mission is to inspire growth, foster leadership, and help others build lives of fulfillment and security. If I could go back to two things. First, well, three things. The first one would be, trying to take my thought here. I'm going to skip that one then. We're going to the risk factor.
I think the first thing you were going to question was the pastoral thing.
Come on.
People always want to talk about that. You know, it's interesting, right? So for me, prior to 2009, when I came home from prison, you know, I had dabbled into scripture, right? I had taken an interest, and anyone who knows me knows that once I become interested in a thing, I become obsessed. It doesn't matter what it is, anything. If I become interested in it, I become obsessed, and I learn everything there is to know until I master it. Which means that, you know, I'm able to talk about it or do it without the use of conscious resources, right? So subconsciously, I just flow in it. So I, you know, dabbled in it. God had kind of, you know, gave me the mantle, right? So I ran from it, you know. I ran from it. And, you know, it was one of those things in 2009 when I came home, I knew I needed to be different. But I came home enlightened because I allowed God to transform my mind while I was in prison. The entire time that I was in there, I studied until my eyes would get heavy, until I would go to sleep. When I woke up, I immediately jumped into a book or jumped into, scripture, whatever it was that I was feeding myself at that time. And, from the sun rising to the sun setting, I was just building. And it became intriguing to me because my mind started to expand and I became enlightened. So when I came home, shout out to Apostle Sylvia Cunningham, who was she's a spiritual mother to me. She always will be. She understands my hedges and the highways mission, right? And she had to let me go. She didn't want me, she didn't really want to. She like, son, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I'm not gonna hold you back. But when I came home in 2009 and I met her in 2010, I was enlightened to the point where I was able to have solid theological conversations with pastors who have been seasoned for a long time. And God had given me revelations that he hadn't given a lot of other people. So when I would share those revelations and those analogies or parables to help people understand the belief system that I had developed, it was one of those things. She was like, nah, you need your pastoral license. I need you to pastor some folks, And to me, that was just leadership development.
Yeah.
So, going through that process in 2011, I started sweeping floors for this corporate company. And I just wanted to get my foot, in the door. That was all I needed to do. I had 2 felonies. I needed something.
Come on.
But, I had studied, corporations and corporate structure while I was in prison.
You did what?
Study corporate structure. Yeah.
He had a plan.
Yeah.
While you were in prison.
Yeah.
He knew what he wanted to do when he came home.
Yeah. I just didn't know how I was going to do it.
That part. But you had a plan, though.
Yeah. And the how wasn't my responsibility. I didn't even know that, right? A lot of times we say, oh, I got to figure out. No, you don't. That's the worst thing you can say.
You better get out
Don't
of
do that.
I'm gonna run.
Yeah, you start
You
figuring out.
what we just...
Yeah,
It
that's
started
where
by
you
this
mess up.
morning.
Yeah. Yeah. When you try to figure
figure it
things out, you destroy the balance of doing and allowing, right? There's a balance that God has in the universe that he created. He had put, Adam and Eve in the garden, and it was one of those doing and allowing things. You know what I mean? And that was just a relationship that God had with humans, and he still has that relationship today. So if we don't have that balance, then we start figuring things out, and we end up making it what we want it to be instead of what it's intended to be, right? Because we just don't have enough faith to understand that what God has is better than what we could come up with ourselves.
Look.
Right.
Katrice, listen, because y'all know my mind is twirling over here. We're gonna pause. We coming back. We coming back. Listen, y'all. I gotta work this room like this because my brother wasn't even in the room with us early. He was in the room, but he wasn't in the room. Can I say that?
Yeah.
They'll get that over their heads. He was in the room.
Just talking about that today.
Woo!
Literally.
We just talked about that. And so I love it when God always comes in to confirm a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so while we're in the leadership role, y'all, let me talk about my girl who's sitting over here. Listen, I get to call my apostle my girl, my chick, that's my sis over there, right? And so while we're talking about being in leadership role, because I want us to be able to bounce back off of each other, and so I want to introduce to you guys Apostle Veranda K. Cobbs. She's affectionately known as Pastor V. She is a dedicated apostolic leader, resilience life coach, mentor, author, and global speaker. Originally from Baltimore, Maryland. You can tell she's originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Be more, stand up. Listen, my grandfather's from D.C., right? So when I used to go out there, I used to come back for the summer, I'd be like, what up, youngin'? Yeah. Oh, is that New York? How D.C.? What D.C.?
That's D.C.
Yeah, D.C. New York. Yeah. So I was like, I was from their era. But her spiritual journey deepened during her time at Virginia Commonwealth University. With over 2 decades of experience in social work, education, and nonprofit leadership, she brings a wealth of knowledge to her ministry. As the founder of Arise Kingdom Ministries, Apostle Veranda is committed to guiding individuals through healing from trauma, building resilience, and discovering their divine purpose. Her mission is to empower people to thrive spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, fostering faith, hope, and love. Through initiatives like the Arise Kingdom Queens Fellowship and Arise and Shine, the podcast, she continues to inspire and equip others to embrace their God-given potential. Listen, y'all, to be here almost a year later, I met this woman of God, my friend, my sister, my accountability partner. She holds it in the road. She makes sure I hold it in the road. I make sure she hold it in the road. I met her on the phone in May of 2024. I didn't meet her physically until September of 2024. Divine connection. We thought it was me because we are co-authors on the book, the Unbound, Breaking Free. Shouts out to our sister Tina Marie, who brought us together, and we are on that book. But it was so much more than the book. It was so much more than Unbound. When God has a purpose and a plan, this is what divine assignment looks like. Because if I would have never met Apostle Cobb, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to Brother Leo. And so when we talk about leadership, y'all are exemplifying leadership. You're exemplifying that. And I've seen only a couple of months, right? How you've walked out some things. But now, from yesterday, from the resilience conference of where you're sitting at today, for me, it's a beautiful thing. For me, I see the glow. But let's talk about walking through that storm to get to resilience. To get to the conference that, if ain't nobody else take away nothing, Mr. Leo revived my niece, which is my sister's daughter. Because she was in a place, and it took somebody totally different from somewhere she didn't even know about. For her to come in the room, and you didn't even know what you inspired.
I didn't even know. I had no idea. I'm honored.
But it was because of the resilience that God, because you didn't give up. And so let's talk about finding strength in where you are now, from then to now. Because y'all, we're going to have to get them on a segment by themselves because they have so much more to share.
Yes,
but
definitely.
let's talk about that.
Yeah, so for me, resilience is life, right? Like, I can go back to various parts of my journey where things were very challenging, but the most impactful part of my journey that built resilience was really the loss of my grandmother. And for those that know me well, my grandmother from Baltimore, she was a Spitfire. She didn't take nothing off nobody. She wasn't afraid of nobody, but she was very humble. She was very graceful. She did not raise her voice. She just walked with love. And so she raised me and poured into me spiritually. But guess what? My grandmother did not go to church consistently. Somebody will catch that later. She was a woman of prayer, but she lived out her values every day. And so she poured into me intentionally probably the last 5 years of her life, right? And so during that time, I sat with her a lot and I just listened. I watched her. I was a caregiver for her. And I saw her go through this space of one of the most broken places physically, but her spirit was very much alive, right? And I remember one day where we were sitting and I had kind of popped up on her, which I tended to do, right? And she was just sitting there very peacefully, very gracefully, and just in a place of worship. And I watched her for like 30 minutes. And I said, Grandma, are you okay? She said, yeah. And God revealed to me that she was making her transition to leave, right? So here we are in 2018 of February, and she's transitioned, right? That broke me. Here I am pastoring 2 churches, right? Here I am leading members in different states. I'm traveling up the road, back and forth. I'm doing conferences. I'm prophesying. I'm praying. But can I tell you, I lost my faith during that time.
Ooh.
I was mad at God. And I've never publicly said it, but I was angry with God for taking her.
But yet because you still showing up.
But I was still showing up for people. And when the Lord gave me, I went through a few seasons of dark depression. And he gave me close the doors, disband everything from the church. My previous church name was Beauty from Ashes Ministries. And I did not move on it. And then he spoke it again to me, and then he had somebody confirm it, like, you got to let it go. And so I'm like, God, I've already lost my grandmother, and now you want me to close my ministry, and I'm about to lose that. So I went through like all of this grief and loss behind her loss, and then it was back to back to back losses after that. And I won't give the count, but it was so unbearable that I told them, don't ask me to eulogize, don't ask me to preach, don't call me pastor, anything. Can I tell y'all the real reason why I struggled? Because I felt like I had covered everybody else but didn't cover my family. I'm going to say that again. I felt like I had covered everybody else in prayer, but why is my family dying? How do I even stand before them or anybody else? So I went through some shame, some guilt, some grief, some brokenness, some depression. And I never forget, in November of 2018, well, a couple things happened. First thing that happened, I went to the Woman Die or Loose conference, right? And I'm in a dark depression, anxiety, just all the things. I'm in the balcony, the top level of this ministry, right? And T.D. Jakes is preaching about his ministry. He starts talking about his journey, and it resonated with me. At a certain point, the Spirit of the Lord just overshadowed me, and I was in the floor. And I will tell this story because that was where I got Arise Kingdom's vision. And what God gave me was always achieving resilience in spite of everything. I was up the entire night writing, and like my light came back on. When I came back home, I went to see my mom. My mom was like, something different about you. You got a different glow. But I did not leave there the same woman that went. I came back changed. I came back resilient. And so to fast forward, Arise Kingdom Ministries really is my lifeline. I got that vision when I wanted to die. I got that vision when I had lost hope, when I had lost faith. And people don't talk about this as pastors. We go through stuff too. Can I just say that we go through stuff too? Yeah. And one of the things for me, people don't understand, me being an apostle now, I had given God a yes in that floor. And he said, do the work of the apostle. I said, okay, Lord. And so when he began to affirm and confirm and put the pieces in place, I was able to understand that I needed a new name because there was some things spoken that caused me to want to shut the doors and get to this place of grief. And when he gave me my name, he was restoring honor to my name. Ooh. He was restoring honor to my journey, to my brokenness, to the domestic violence that I'd experienced, the homelessness that I experienced, the slander that I had, all the things that I had gone through, and losing my grandmother was where everything kind of came to the surface. Wow. And so fast forward, I ended up doing some grief counseling. And during that process, my therapist was crying. She like, you done went through all this stuff. I said, you okay? Do you need a tissue? She said, Veranda, you've been through so much, but you've already healed from it. Now you're just unpacking it. Yeah. The Resilience Conference is my baby. Yes. It is the evidence of my life being here, me still being here. But now my goal is to help other people not suffer in silence, because I was a pastor suffering in silence. Yeah, I heard that. I had ordained and licensed and prophesied and prayed and all the things, but nobody came to check on me. Ooh. Nobody came to check on the pastor. That's why I said, don't call me pastor. And so it resonates with the story of Ruth and Naomi.
I just said Naomi.
Literally. And Naomi was like, don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because I'm bitter. And I was bitter. And the bitterness turned to beauty. The bitterness turned to glory. The bitterness turned to grace. The bitterness turned to peace. And I am so graceful now. Two reasons. My grandmother, because she poured that into me. That was the mantle she carried. The second reason was I never want anybody to leave my presence and felt how I felt. Ever. So whether you're right, wrong, indifferent, whether you like me, love me, whatever, hate me, whatever, when you leave my presence, you're going to be like, I don't fool with her, but she's a woman of God. I wanted people to feel that truth, right? And some people don't understand it, and I could care less, but I know why I'm here. I know what my purpose is. And so Arise is my purpose. Like, this is my purpose, and I have come to life. I've come to, help people, but it helps me. Yeah. Because I'm the first partaker of this resilience. And every day, y'all, I have to get up and make a decision. I could be in the bed because there have been so many losses. I could be in the bed because I've been abused and talked about and all the things. No, I'm getting up and I'm going to put my feet on the floor And I wear my heels because when I step out, I'm stepping out, okay?
She wear her heels. Because when she step out,
okay?
she's stepping out. Sis. Y'all, they unpacking today. They are unpacking. Listen, before I go any further, what you got to say, girl, over here? Because, woo.
I don't know. Like, I can say with the Resilience Conference, it was needed. And sometimes we go through life is life, and right? And so we don't always, like you said, you had to unpack. Like, we're living life, we're going through life, and sometimes we don't even unpack the things that we face, the challenges we face. And a lot of times, let's be honest, in our community and in our homes, a lot of times we didn't talk about, growing up, we didn't talk about the things that our struggles, our concerns. A lot of times they want what happens in this house stays in this house. And so we learned not to speak up, not to talk about like our issues, our concerns, or a lot of times we don't revisit like those childhood traumas. And a lot of times, because we're told to hush or keep silent, we don't even know how to be resilient. And so I appreciate both of you for yesterday. It was amazing. Definitely shared nuggets for me and for my girls that were there. And so I truly appreciate you for your obedience and for you coming to share with us. It was amazing. Like, if you missed it,
we're going to be in Newport News.
I was just about to say.
May 31st. We're taking us a trip. Newport News.
If you missed it. But yeah. And so the thing about resilience, well, in one of my previous roles, we studied resilience and just like the triggers, and so how to be resilient. So what are some things that you both could share? Because sometimes people are amped up. Sometimes people face triggers that makes them shut down, because that's part of like when you're overstimulated or when you're overwhelmed. Sometimes we shut down, but people respond to struggles differently. So what are some things that you could share with someone about like just staying in their resilience zone?
Yeah, so I first want to define resilience, because everybody doesn't know the definition, but it means to recover after experiencing trial, trauma, tribulation, and transition, right? So we put that out there. So if you've been through something and you're able to regroup, that is resilience. How do you do that? It's an everyday journey. For me, it looks like, number one, starting over every single day, right? When you're in spaces where you feel these triggers come or you're dealing with something difficult, for those who are women and men of God, young people of God, we can pray through those things, but you also need to make sure that you reach up for support, right? And this is one of the things I've learned, y'all. A lot of times we reach here for support instead of reaching up. So for you, it might look up to God or up to somebody that can pull you up. Don't connect with somebody that can pull you over. Somebody's going to pull you up, right? So up meaning they have more faith, they have more hope, they see you past where you see yourself, right? And they're able to speak into your life. And then the third thing I'll say is that you got to give yourself some grace, right? And I live by this thing because I watched my grandmother. My grandmother had, I'm going to share this a little bit. My grandmother had an illness that she could have been healed from, but she decided to go be with the Lord.
Wow. That's deep.
Right?
Yeah.
And in her transition, I learned that she had given grace to everybody else, and that was her way of giving grace to herself. And she stopped speaking the past month, like the last month of her life. I didn't talk to her. That thing broke my heart. But I recognized, and she goes, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And so what does that look like for us, right? Giving ourselves grace to recognize we don't know everything and we don't have everything, but God has given us strength, and we can lean into his strength, but also recognizing too that we will not be perfect. I say it all the time. Perfection is not the goal, growth is. And so if you're going through something challenging, allowing yourself to walk through that, but don't beat yourself up. Y'all listen, if I would have beat myself up, I would have never started Arise, because I felt like Beauty from Ashes was a failure. Can I be honest? I felt like it was a failure. The thing that I love the most. I love preaching. I love helping people. I love doing outreach. I love all the things. 2 different ministries, one in Hampton Roads, one in Richmond. I had to shut the thing down that I really loved the most. And I had to give myself some grace. Because when I got a rise, I'm like, God, you want me to do what? I'm not doing that again. But guess what? Give yourself some grace. All of that had to happen for what's happening now. All of that had to happen for what's about to happen. And it made me, I would not, you said from then and now, I wouldn't be who I am had I not been through the domestic violence. I wouldn't be who I am had I not been through the abuse, the sexual assault, the rapes, and all the things that have happened to me, right? Yeah. But all of that made me who I am. So I'm giving myself grace because God has still kept his hand on me, and he's still got a purpose and plan for my life. And he has a plan for all of our lives. So if you've fallen down, if you've hurt yourself or somebody's pushed you down, whatever that looks like for you, can I encourage you to give yourself some grace, accept God's grace, and then get back up again. And y'all know I say this all the time. Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going.
That's in big song, ain't it? Okay, I'm sorry.
Keep going.
Woo! Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, just kind of unpacking what she said, that was a wealth of wisdom in that. And one thing that I'll say is that there are levels of resilience. And when you're going through some things, I have to preface what I'm about to say with this. Sometimes you need professional help. Like, depending on the severity of the thing that you've gone through, like, people need, professional help. There's really no way around that, right? Because sometimes it's things that are just that deep to where you need help unpacking it and redefining it, right? And once you redefine it and you do establish a level of resilience to where you're like, okay, I got to keep going. That's the stage where what I'm about to say helped me. So for me, awareness is everything. I teach firearm safety. The one who has 2 felonies, right? So it's funny because, and that was never my intention. I petitioned to get my rights back, and it was a journey. It took me about 5 years. I got my rights back, and at that point, I'm like, man, I need to get my firearm rights back. Now I can vote. I can be a member of the jury. I'm feeling like a citizen again, right? And I said, you know what? I need to get my firearm rights back because I need to protect myself and my family. Yeah. And I never in a million years would have ever thought that I would have ever owned a gun again after having 2 felonies. Man, I went into the court. I told the judge, I was like, listen, this is the mission right here. She was like, on one accord, Mr. Hairston, as long as you help someone else with this, and you don't hoard it for yourself, I'll give you your rights back. I said, done deal. Wow. Left out of there with my firearm rights back. So I went to the USCCA, which is an organization that provides firearm education and insurance. And, I told them, hey, I want to be an instructor. And they're like, well, you got to go through the class. You have any prior military experience? I'm like, no. He said, any prior law enforcement experience? I'm like, well, that's a tricky question. The experience I had was in handcuffs, right? But not as an officer. And anyway, they certified me. And ever since then, I've been teaching firearm safety. But there's something, the reason why I told that story is because there's something that I learned as I began to teach that. I learned that we have 2 main states of being, freedom and survival.
Talk about it.
And once you get to a place to where you have to keep going, what happens is you get triggered, right? We have triggers over and over and over again. And I think society in recent years have created, have used the word in a manner that is kind of like taboo, and then it kind of becomes popular, and then people use it in the wrong context. But what happens is we're triggered all day, every day.
Yep.
All right. And what we have to realize, and what I realize, is that we're in a state of freedom or we're in a state of survival. And these two states are states that God provided for us, right? A state of freedom is a space that you create for.
Come on.
That's a space of bliss. That's a place of peace. That's a place of joy. That's a place of enlightenment. That's that place. And that
Yeah.
place feels a way.
Yeah.
There's a feeling in that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Feel
And this is all practical. This is outside of religion, outside of scripture, all of those things. This is
We
the
relationship. Go
practicality of it. Huh?
I said we relationship. Go ahead.
This is a part of the practicality piece of it, right?
Yeah.
So, that bliss and that joy and that peace all has a feeling. It's an emotional attachment to that.
Yeah.
There's also an emotional attachment to survival mode. God gave us that also. I mentioned this yesterday. Fear, in a lot of cases that we experience, isn't real. It's a figment of our own imagination. Because fear from a primal state, from a humanistic state, right? God gave us that. So if there's a tiger in the room, we have it triggers our state of being, right? To go from freedom, being free to being, in a survival situation, right? So now we're triggered into a survival mode, which is called fight or flight. So what happens in our minds is we go into fight, flight, or freeze. And that last one is what a lot of people don't like to discuss. And I spent some time with some high level achievers, and they would freeze in boardrooms. They would freeze as they're speaking. They would freeze for the simple fact that when you don't know what to do, you do nothing.
Good God.
Ooh.
Y'all heard that?
Yeah. So just from a practical aspect, if I could
deep.
help someone who knows that they have to keep going, even speaking to myself a few years ago, the feelings that you have that are negative, most of the time aren't true. You're telling yourself these thoughts. So what would usually happen is I would get into a place of having a thought. And that thought would be something like, man, I need to pay these bills. Like, I don't know where this money's coming from. That's taking me from a place of freedom, bliss, and peace, and trust, and understanding. That's taking me into a survival state. So I will be stuck in that survival mode. And a lot of people are stuck in survival mode, and they don't know how to get out.
Yeah.
But it's, from a practical standpoint, if I'll say this, if it doesn't feel good, it's probably not true.
Ooh.
It wasn't true. I'm worrying about money and bills and all of these different things, but God is a provider.
Right.
Say that one more time.
So I was worried for no reason. It wasn't true. I was lying to myself. And that's part of the byproduct. We tell ourselves these lies over and over and over again until we make ourselves believe it. And then we stay stuck in that behavior. And then we stay stuck in that emotional feeling that we have to that thing that we're stuck in. Yeah. So my suggestion would be to analyze how you feel. Bring awareness to how you feel. If the thought creates a feeling in you and it doesn't feel good, it's probably not true. So at that particular moment, choose truth.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about what's true and truth later, because there's a difference between what's true and truth. But, analyze that feeling. So if you get a feeling like, you know what, man, this ain't gonna work out, I just lost my job, I'm not gonna find another one. Those things aren't true. You will find another job.
Yeah.
Things will work out.
Yeah.
So you have to get back to that place of freedom. And in order to get back to that place of freedom, I call it being above the line. So once you feel yourself going below the line, choose to be above the line. Choose peace. Yes, there's a reality that you just lost your job and that your bills are going to be coming up. That is definitely a reality. But how you view the experience allows you to take dominion over the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to add something to that. That was so good, by the way, Frank.
Yes.
Yeah, they spit in nuggets and knowledge
So
in the
good.
room.
One thing I've learned as we talk about resilience, wisdom comes from failure, right? So when we make mistakes, when we mess up, we miss the mark, when things don't go the way we think they should go, if we tap in long enough, we develop wisdom. The second level of that is the emotional maturity, because when you can, we're going to scripture real quick. I'm apostling today, right? Romans chapter number 12, verse 1 and 2. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, you present your bodies a living sacrifice. That is that surrender, right? Then you transform your mind, right? So when you begin to, we end at that one part, renewing of the mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's good, pleasing, and perfect will is for your life, right? So when I think better, I behave better.
Yes.
When I think different, I behave different. When I change my mindset, then I can move in a different way. So for me, think about the trauma impact of all these different situations, a lot of them involving people,
Yeah.
domestic
Yes.
violence, abuse,
Yeah.
grief and loss, closing the ministries, all the things, right? So betrayal trauma was something that I had to walk through. I also had to walk through abandonment, disappointment, rejection, all of that.
All of it.
Yeah.
I learned from those experiences a couple things. I gained wisdom in how to treat people, how I want to be treated, and also how to treat other people. It also changed the way I perceive myself and others. So my mindset as I build this new ministry, as I walk out the resilience conference, is all about creating safe spaces for people to change how they see things. Because when we change what we're thinking, we change how we see it. Guess what that develops? Emotional maturity. Then when you're walking with God, we're talking about spiritual, right? We're walking with God. We're on this faith journey. Then the next level of that is spiritual maturity. So as we grow, we talk about perfection is not the goal. Growth is. I look back over what happened then, right? And I gain wisdom from that. I look back over what happened then and I'm like, okay, now I can mature emotionally and recognize all of that was a part of my process. The third level is now I can recognize God still was with me through it all and I can have spiritual maturity. So even how I perceive people, this is where the grace comes in. I'm not looking at people based off of their behavior. I'm looking at them based off my behavior.
That's good.
I'm not coming down to where you are with the messy. I'm staying here, and it produces a different kind of space because then you're attracting different people, and you're also able to value the people that's in your life. After losing 30-some people in my family, friends, and so forth, including my best friend who passed a few years ago, I had to make some changes with me. It starts with us, right? And as I begin to change, I say, okay, I need to gain some wisdom from this. I need to develop some emotional maturity from this, and now I can develop some spiritual maturity from this. And then this is going to impact the relationships that I have in my life, how I treat people, how I interact with people, how I show up in the space, right? And so it's something that we have to grow through in order to be able to be truly who God is calling us to be. It's a process and a journey. Resilience.
Resilience. Ooh.
Amen.
Listen, y'all. I'm like, oh God, okay, God. Listen. We talked about resilience. You mentioned fear.
Yes.
You said something yesterday about making $20.
Yeah.
It don't take that long.
It don't take that long to make $20, y'all. I can make $20 in 1.2 seconds, right? But when I look here and I want to tap on the risk factor, because you got, in order to, and this is just from me speaking, in order to get that mindset of, hey, I know I can make $20 within, it don't take long to make $20, but it was a risk factor
Yes.
that you had to,
Yes.
that process.
Yes.
Let's talk about that risk factor.
Yes. Yes. So the risk factor is a show segment that I have on Fox 5 Plus.
Okay.
So the opportunity arose for me to get on another segment with a gentleman to talk about a book that I have. It's called The 3 Things That Everyone Should Know About Personal Safety. And for me, that project was me putting something out into the world that wasn't about me. It was solely to help others. I didn't want my first book to be about my life. I didn't want to make it about me. I wanted it to be something that the world could utilize, even in the future. So with that, I discuss conflict avoidance, conflict resolution, and the legalities that surround defending yourself, right? So within all of that, when I start talking in that manner, a lot of people automatically, their brains go to, oh wait, self-defense, right? Not so, right? When you start looking at conflict avoidance, you start factoring in the risk associated to you having conversations with certain people, right? So conflict could be anything. Conflict could be you and I disagreeing over a specific topic. And it's one of those things where I was having a conversation with someone the other night, and I told him, I said, I don't argue. If a person believes that they're right, I believe that I'm right, I will allow them to argue. It's like saying, hey, you're a murderer, right? Or you saying that to me. I'm gonna look at you like you crazy. Why am I gonna argue over something that I know that I'm not?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not gonna
good.
argue. I'm just gonna say, oh, okay. That's your belief and your opinion. Fine, that's great.
We're gonna
Okay,
agree to
cool.
disagree.
We'll agree to disagree. So, it's one of those things to where not everyone has that mechanism built into their brain. Some people seek the attention and they have a desire for conflict. For the simple fact that they aren't healed. They're not in a place of bliss or a place
That's
of
so
peace.
good.
So people who aren't healed, remember these triggers happen all day long, right? And if you really look at, our emotional state on a regular basis, we're up and down, up and down,
Yeah.
up and down, up
Yes.
and down, above the line, below the line, above the line, below the line, right? I can be in a place of peace one moment, I'll get a phone call, and then that state changes.
Triggers
Right? Your state of being goes from freedom to survival. I had to survive this call because I really don't want to talk to this person. So, it's one of those things. So if that's the case, and we're looking at risk associated to conflict avoidance, how do you avoid the conflict? If you can't avoid the conflict, how do you resolve the conflict in a peaceful manner? And sometimes these conflicts are on our job. We work with people who are in different mind states all the time. We may be above the line. They may be below the line. Now, we have to deal with people who are below the line.
Yeah.
So, that conflict resolution piece goes into that. It's not just if someone walks up on your car with a gun and they're ready to jack you. Like, a lot of people think that personal safety involves, robberies, and that's insane. It's well before that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right. It's a path before it even gets to that place. But I say all of that to say that the risk factor formed from that book. So I talk a lot about cognitive behavior, a lot of the behaviors that I had that were putting me in danger, not just in harm's way in regard to, again, robberies and carjackings, but putting me in places that wouldn't allow opportunities to spawn and relationships to actually grow, and allowing me to not see people in certain lights and, holding me back from forming healthy relationships. So that's
so
where
good.
that spawned from. It's a global television network, so it televises overseas, over in other countries. So it's great, but it's also local to DC as well. So it kind of has that multifaceted as to why I wanted to get involved. So
That's great.
y'all can catch that on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m.
Put your plug
Okay,
in. Put your plug in.
Plus,
Fox 5 plus the risk factor. I know that it is so much, y'all. It's gonna be a part 2. We gotta interview them individually because they have so much to share. We wanted to do this because of the Resilience Conference and what we were bringing to the Rocky Mount area. Y'all, listen, get used to seeing these faces. I'm gonna say that because, brother, I have to bring you back where I am my brother's keeper. That is one of the things that God has brought. It's to my heart, near and dear. That God has brought for us to bring the men together and giving a safe space for the men to come in. And it will take some people and some men coming from other cities and states and countries and nations, just to be able to pour a word into somebody here. I thank God for the brothers that have come to join I Am My Brother's Keeper, and was able to share for the first time. I thank God for my brother Fonte Lyles. He came in and he shared, Brother Carteret, Brother Miles, and we have Pastor Troy, who was there yesterday. So God never leave us without a witness, and we've been having, if not but one, but 2 men coming in the room or more than that. And so God is doing a thing. So we definitely got to get you back here for I Am My Brother's Keeper, because what you gave us yesterday at the Resilience Conference, men need to hear this. Why? Because when I look at you, twin, we hustlers, right? And so somebody can give us a pack of CDs right now, right? And the CD might be blank, but we're gonna go out there and we're gonna find 5 people and we're gonna sell them CDs, and they gonna get that. But it ain't about the selling of the thing, right? Because it's not about the money.
it's not about the money.
It's not about the money, but it's about the wealth of knowledge that we have to be able to operate and say, you know what? I got 5 T-shirts over there. I know I can go out right now and sell those 5 T-shirts, right? But it ain't about me going out selling them just to get the money, right? It's not about that. But it's about, what am I going to leave? What impact am I going to leave beyond selling these T-shirts? Your impact on yesterday, although you are a whole brand, You are a whole brand. We are all brands in this place. But it wasn't about the brand.
Yeah.
It's about the impact. It was about what you went through, about the survival, what you went through about the freedom, what you went through about in 2009.
Yeah.
What embraced you for the purpose. What embraced you, that pain embraced you to be able to walk into the now.
Yes.
Yeah, you
And
gotta talk
taking
about
those
it.
risk factors.
You gotta do it here. You gotta
Yeah.
say it here.
Taking
Pay the
those
profit.
risk factors. You got to be able to, and so yeah, we definitely gonna chop it up and invite you back out for that. But it was the Nuggets on yesterday.
Yes.
Like you came to Rocky Mount, no, what Brattleboro. We gonna say Brattleboro. We ain't call it Rocky Mount. You came to Brattleboro, North Carolina, and you made an impact
Yeah.
on some entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
young entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And now my girl was up all night.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where it starts. Yeah, that's what leaders do. We are the last to go to sleep and the first to wake up. If that is not your routine, and you aren't able to take a blissful nap in the middle of the day, you're not doing it right.
He said a
You're doing it.
blissful nap.
Blissful nap. Yeah, blissful nap. Anybody who know me know. Hey, look, you call my phone and I don't answer. Hey, I was taking a nap.
Taking a blissful nap. Listen, y'all. So we get ready to wind it on in, but Apostle Cobbs, I want to thank you first and foremost because you showed your balance, and to share your story, just a snippet, y'all. These are snippets, y'all. Y'all just getting little snippets of their stories. Like these are snippets, but you're getting the nuggets of what resilience looks like, what being the risk factor looks like, what walking into now you saying, hey, freedom. You know, you got freedom and you got survival. Like, what mode am I in right now?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
How do you feel?
How do you
Do
feel?
you feel good or do you feel bad? If you feel bad, then you're in survival mode. If you feel good, then you're in freedom. That's it. And choose which one you want to be in.
Good.
Choose this day, whether blessing or curse. Choose. There's a choice that you have to make.
So for us that's saying we surviving, y'all, I gotta change my language.
Yeah, we not.
Yeah.
I'm in freedom mode.
I'm in freedom
Freedom,
I'm walking in
sis.
freedom.
Yes.
I'm winning.
Yes.
We winning,
Thriving.
y'all. So we gotta shift the narrative, man. I love it. Then I tell y'all something. I learn something new every day,
Yes.
and you gotta be acceptive
Yes.
to the new,
Yes.
right? You can't just when you
That's
sit
good.
in rooms like this, and when you're able to sit in a place, because I'm gleaming. I'm although we're interviewing you guys, right? I'm learning. Like yesterday, I got fed. Yesterday, I got taught some things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You use a lot of my words: fear, faith. Those are my words, right? Faith over fear, right? But even in those moments, you broke it down to some different terms. Now I can go back and look at fear in a different way.
Yeah.
I can go back and look at resilience in a different way. I'm always walking through the storm, but even in finding my
Yeah.
strength in the storm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when it's those oh y'all, man. My sis said, really don't need. Y'all know me. I go from 1 to 1,000 real quick. So Apostle Cobbs, I just want to say thank you. Bless you, woman of God. I call you my apostle, but I call you my sister. We built that balance.
Yeah.
And I thank you for being vulnerable. I thank you for being open to the world, for sharing. Listen, we as leaders, we need the support. We fall.
Yes.
We don't have it all together.
No,
Not at all.
that's not even the goal. It's a journey. There's no destination to this thing.
That part.
For y'all who think y'all got it all together,
Don't.
there's no destination.
There's no
They
destination.
think
This
they
is a
have
journey.
arrived.
You think you have arrived and you never. So in our closing, I'm going to give them time as we close out. Sis, I'm going to start with you. Is there any closing remarks? And then we're going to allow Apostle Cobbs and my brother Leo to share if they could tell the world, if they could give them a snippet of some last minute advice. As we coming off this segment, but we ain't leaving. We coming off of this one, but we coming back, baby. We coming back. If y'all can give some closing remarks and some nuggets to the people who are watching. Do we have any questions? Comments? It's coming. Because I know. Oh. Oh. Oh, they watch.
You've been engaged.
Yeah.
For tagging.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Tanya.
Yeah. What it do, TP in the building?
Somebody said doing versus allowing.
Sonny Biggs.
My boy Big.
Biggs in the building.
Tanya says stand up.
Stand up. Divine connections. Yeah. Leadership next level. Okay. Yolanda Battle, my God. Okay. Listen, y'all. We love our sisters and our brothers out there.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone watching.
God is faithful. Well, let's go back to state of what? State of freedom.
My boy.
Yeah.
My boy Derek.
Who said that? Somebody said state
Great
of freedom.
show.
Great show, Derek. Derek always give us our listen. God is a provider. Okay,
Yes, he
April.
is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, y'all.
Gotta
Listen.
know it.
Wisdom comes from failure.
Yes, Tanya.
Yes.
Risk factor.
Yes.
Come on.
Love it.
That's good. Della. Oh, she tagged Della. She's tagging people. Okay.
Thank you for tagging people.
They tagging people. Oh, yeah.
You could call it behavioral.
Yeah, y'all. So listen, y'all, as we getting ready to close out, y'all. We sis, go ahead, cause y'all know my mind over y'all be. She said, "Reel it in." Go ahead. Go ahead, twin.
Again, I just want to thank you both. One of the things I think I saw maybe in your bio, and I looked at your profiles just to do like a deep dive or just educate myself, do a little research. But yeah, you both have a passion for community, and so I am grateful for you both for coming to our community, a community where we need more people like you. We have a lot of people here, and I appreciate those that partner with us and that have their own things, but just the wealth of knowledge that you bring and a different perspective. Even with us, like we out here doing our thing, but you've poured into us. You've shared your wisdom, and so I appreciate you both for being here. Hopefully, this will not be the last. This will not be the last time that you will see them. They will be back,
Yes.
and so I'm just grateful. Just grateful for you both being here and sharing with us. This has truly been enlightening, and yeah, it's a game changer. I don't have nothing else to say.
Pastor Cobbs.
Well, I want to say thank you for having us. I love Rocky Mount. I love North Carolina. So we'll leave that there. But I think for me, I this weekend moved from survival to freedom.
Yes.
And I was telling Katrice in the restroom before, make sure my edges was laid, y'all. I was telling her that for me, I'm walking into a space where I'm beginning to like share about my life, right? And be transparent, because I'm very comfortable covering, I'm very comfortable pushing, I'm very comfortable supporting. But now it's time for me to share my story and to also lead from the front in this space of transparency, right? And letting people know that resilience is a journey, but also that for me, I'm starting over every day and showing other people that it can be done. The last thing I want to share is that I have a new book out, called I Am Resilient.
Yes.
And so you can actually go to my social media, but check out my Linktree /Veranda K Cobbs, and you can purchase your copy, and there will be more coming with that. But resilience is going to be like my spotlight as I move forward, just really sharing that, but really moving into the space of resilient faith, because there's a practical application of resilience, and then there is the faith journey of resilience. Mm-hmm. And where I come in as the life coach, counselor, therapist, and also the apostle, is I merge the two together to bring that practical and that spiritual together so that we can live it out and understand what it looks like in real time. And so I want to just shout out you both for bringing us here, but also this definitely won't be my last time coming to Rocky Mount. Y'all gonna see me often, but just to know that we also have a message that we can share beyond Virginia, and to help other people. And there's someone out there, my word of encouragement, whatever you have been called to do, start working on it and do it, because you're still here for a reason and you got to keep going. But there's a reason why you're here. And for me, my reason was Arise. And so I don't know what your reason is, but hold your hands to that thing and move forward in it. And it's your season now.
I'm appreciative as well. I appreciate the invite to the show. I appreciate the invite to the Resilience Conference. Truly an honor to be here. My why is simple: to be the example that I never had for those, who need me in the same role that I needed others when I didn't have it. So with that being said, being able to come to platforms like this to be able to speak true and, be able to share wisdom this is the purpose, right? And we all have purpose. If we woke up this morning with breath, there's a purpose within that. And that purpose is to share with others, what God has given us the liberty to experience. And that's the goal for me, right? So within that piece of it, I've developed a framework. So I worked in corporate America for about 14 years, took that structure to help build business, help entrepreneurs build their business as I'm building my businesses. And that framework simply just lays it out for you. So anyone who's just getting started, if you're feeling stuck, if you feel like, hey, I'm supposed to start this business, there's a purpose behind my life. Well, the framework helps you discover those things, and it helps you lay it out. Because if we don't know where to start, we never start.
Ooh.
There was a point where I didn't know where to start. So I never started, and I prolonged it for a long time. I started getting gray hair before I started my purpose. But if you go to www.leodamone.com, you can click on the link. The framework is free. It's a blueprint and a 7-day challenge. And it allows you to kind of unpack your thoughts. It allows you to create a framework for your purpose. And the program is called Paying the Profit, and it has nothing to do with money at all. The profits that you gain is the impact that you make on others. It's the fulfillment and the confidence in you knowing that you are fulfilling your purpose. Currency always comes with impact because God is a provider, right?
Yeah.
So from Paying the Profit is a framework that I created, and that's my main focus right now. And you can go to the website, download the blueprint and the 7-day challenge, and just go through the process. And if you need me, I'm here. You can click on the link, contact me, and I have no problem helping folks out.
Awesome.
All righty, y'all. Y'all heard it here first. Real talk with Shenita, her story, his story with your girl Katrice. Listen, in the building today, Mr. Leo. Listen, shouts out. Thank you, brother, for being in the building on today. Thank you, Apostle Veranda Cobb, for being in the building on today. And thank you, my sis, always. You know what we do. My yin to my yang, my twin. That's what we do in the building. Highlight. We want to give shouts out to our brother Fonte Lyles and Lyles Media Group Studio for allowing us to have this platform. We appreciate you, brother. We thank you. We always gonna shout your name out in the world because that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, y'all, God always do things, and the collaboration is so big. The collaboration is bigger than us. So I want to shout out my brother Sonny Biggs. Thank you, brother Sonny Biggs, for supporting. Listen, thank you. Listen to everybody that's on the live today. We thank you for showing up. Listen, y'all, like, share, tag, get the word out there. Y'all got some great nuggets on today. Don't be selfish. Share this video with somebody else. Let's run the numbers up in this thing, y'all, because God is doing a major thing in our city, y'all. In our city, God is doing something major. And if I could leave with y'all today before we sign out, what are you going to choose to do? You going to choose to walk in a survival mode, or you going to choose to walk in freedom, or you going to choose to be resilient? Listen, come on. I'm going to choose resilience and freedom and winning in this season. Y'all can stay over there surviving and thriving, but I'm winning. I got resilience, and I'm flowing with the freedom. Amen, somebody? Amen. So again, y'all heard it here first. Real talk with Shenita. Her story, his story with your girl Katrice. So we signing out, baby. We out of here. Peace. Ooh, good. I gotta go check on Jamaica.